Hi, everybody. So we've got one of our final videos in this mega HTS series, and I have the absolute pleasure of being joined by Tudor, who is the founder of HeadStarter. Tudor, how are you?
Great to be here with you, Max. Pleasure.
Yeah, no, the pleasure was mine. Thank you very much for taking the time because I know you're in Dubai and you've got lots to get on with. You're very busy. So let's jump straight into it because we're trying to keep I talk too much and we're trying to keep these videos short if we can. So just can you, for anyone who isn't familiar with HeadStarter, can you give us a bit of background, what you do, kind of why you started?
Certainly. So the mission of HeadStarter stems from an overarching ecosystem necessity that we identified being early day builders in the space, which is particularly accessing funding for the early startups on Hedera to be able to grow and scale. We've been in the ecosystem, personally, I've been since 2017-ish. But building hands-on, we started in 2019, 2020. And there was a lot of people in the ecosystem in those days that were very passionate and bootstrapped about building applications, disrupting their respective vertical in the Hedera network, because they saw the potential of the tech. Yet there was little, especially Web3 VC interest because of some technological limitations. And as soon as we identified that smart contracts 2.0 are coming and we'll be able to have smart contracts communicate with token service and do more advanced DeFi applications, unlocking GameFi and other interesting, Web3 applications. That's when we decided to roll out HeadStarter with the main scope of enabling such projects, run crowdfunding campaigns through a popular model that started in the last cycle in 2021, which is the IDO Launchpad. Since those days, we continue to iterate on crowdfunding models, and we are rolling out more and more flexible and innovative products to facilitate crowdfunding. We have some flexible flavors for INOs. We're gonna soon roll out an interesting product called stake pools and some others down the line. We also help projects with acceleration services because a lot of the times from the hundreds of projects that wanted to launch, we realized that a lot of them might need certain support in different areas, from legal to strategy to token economy. And that's why we wanted to help them accelerate their growth by offering some acceleration services. And we went recently the extra mile, and we launched a project that we're very happy about the way that it has been received, which is called the Zero Gravity Incubation Program, where not only do we help projects with strategy, but we also give out with a particular primary focus on DeFi applications on Hedera, we give out $25,000 in grant money for them to build these applications. So yeah, in a nutshell, HeadStarter is here to support projects, launch, go to market, and gain the trust, visibility of the community, and launch with a healthy user base and funding.
Okay. I mean, wow, that's really exciting to hear. And I'm glad that I'm glad we're getting this time because I want people, particularly at the grassroots level, who have either a Web2 or Web3 business, that they know that this kind of help is available. That $25,000 grant that you mentioned there, I mean, that's a sizable chunk. Where's that come from? Have you got your own, has that come from a liquidity pool? Have you invested that personally?
Mm-hmm. So launching HeadStarter, we had some early support from angel investors, and we are growing also a suite of connections in the institutional side of things that would have an appetite in Hedera projects. But for the grant in specific, it comes from generally from the HeadStarter treasuries, and those can come from in different forms of tokens.
Okay. And so just to explain a little bit more detail on that, if I had a project, I've decided that I wanted to launch on Hedera and I come to HeadStarter, what
Mhm.
does that look like? Are there different options? So is the crowdfunding, obviously people come together and they, we have that in traditional Web2 finance, people come together as a group and they can invest small amounts or large amounts. What do they get in return for that? Do I, as the project, have to pay them interest, or is it an equity stake, or a mix of both? What's the structure of that?
So one particular key aspect that I should say about projects that launch through HeadStarter is that they would have to employ tokenization to a certain extent. So either a utility fungible token most of the time, but there are flavors of gamification that we employed with non-fungible tokens. We have the strong conviction that Web 2 or Web 2.5 projects will increasingly converge into the Web 3 space because they would employ practices of gamification and tokenization to interact with communities and have them directly supporting the success of the project. I would give one example when it comes to Citadel Wallet, for example. It's a project that is building a hardware wallet. It's generally a dull product, right? And people would not rally behind the project. But because Citadel Wallet have done their crowdfunding campaign by awarding this pre-sale of their hardware wallets through NFTs and having these NFTs enable redemption of the wallet when the wallet is mature and audited. This managed to build a community that directly supports markets as well, the product. So by employing tokenization, a lot of the Web2 businesses will be able to have a better synergy with their community and user base. When it comes to HeadStarter, generally our revenue stream stems from the final mile when we do the public sale events, where we generally take a fee from the raise amount, but also depending on the support that we extend to the projects through the various other services we provide, we might take a position of token equity into the project.
Okay. That's actually a really interesting point. So it doesn't have to be all fluffy and interesting. It can be a project that's got a physical item or whatever, and something that you even suggest is boring. I'm not sure Citadel would agree, but yeah, I do take your point, and I understand what you mean. But the way that you can look at that, and then you look at how do we gamify this physical product, and how do we gain engagement and build a community around it. And in doing so, you then go to market with the support of this community, both in terms of moral support, people cheering you on and spreading the word and advertising for you, word of mouth advertising, which is incredibly powerful. But also they can invest funds and hope that those funds offer some sort of return in the future. And I think that's a really interesting point for anybody who's considering launching a product that might be seen as traditional or boring even, how they can gamify that and make it more interesting for communities. That's a really good point. So HST is your token. What role does that play at HeadStarter?
Well, the primary role of the HST token is allowing access to different crowdfunding events. So at the moment, we have rolled out publicly 3 flavors, although we're working, as I mentioned earlier, on a couple other products on priority. So depending on whether you'll be participating in an INO, an IDO, or a private sale, there's different requirements in order for you to either have guaranteed allocation or to have a allocation that will be enabled through allow listing campaign. So the first utility of the token is access. We also recently announced the launch of our HeadStarter DAO that will increasingly grow in the amount of responsibility that is delegated towards the DAO participants. There's a few other exciting features that have to do with real yields that we were excited to announce pretty soon for the utility token holders.
I can tell you are excited because every time you mention it, you smile. You can't help but smile when you're thinking about it. Can you cover that anymore, or not at all? It's too early.
Well, one thing that I mentioned earlier is stake pools, and stake pools is a proprietary product. We had it ready actually in Q3 of last year, but Hedera cutting staking rewards really pushed us back. It was a kind of like a, yeah, it pushed us back to the release of the stake
Testing
pools.
time. Yeah.
But the more that there is avenues for real yield to be extracted on the Hedera network, these stake pools will become increasingly rewarding in terms of yield. And we want what we want to have, and something that our ecosystem has been requesting for a long time, is single-sided staking. What we want to make sure is that the economy that we build inside HeadStarter has a circular model to it, where it's not, the yield is based on real yield from the products that we roll out, and not only coming from inflation.
Yeah, so you want it to be sustainable and real, much like interest on a loan, for example, rather than future profits. Well, I think that's a very sensible approach. Just looking at the token now, I've got another screen up just to the side of me now. I'm on CoinGecko, which isn't always super accurate. So the max supply is 2.5 billion tokens. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And currently today you are at 0.037 pence, circulating supply of 142 million, 24-hour trading volume of 164,000 pounds. Wow, that's a serious number. Fully diluted valuation of 94 million, and a market cap of 5.3 million. So the token it's been on a journey, hasn't it? And there's a bit of a valley there, and you've got a kind of low of 0.005 pence roughly, but you're now up at 0.03 pence, nearly closer to 0.04 pence. So can you talk about that, what that's been like from a business perspective? Because that's quite a journey, isn't it? Your coin's been on.
Yeah, we this is the part of the interview where I have to measure my words.
Yes.
But it's first of all, it's really interesting to hear the price in pound sterling rather than US dollars. We kind of like grew accustomed to that. So when we launched, I would say that we launched as the second DeFi protocol on Hedera in Q2 of 2022. Right after Stader, HBarX, and a bit ahead of Saucer Swap. So when we were raising private for HeadStarter in the end of 2021 and early 2022, we all remember that was the start of the shift in market sentiment. So a lot of our early commits wanted us to postpone the launch, to change our strategy. But we wanted to abide by the principles of Web3 and decentralization, and stick to our guns, stick to our underlying ethos, which was to come out as soon as possible on Hedera, show that we're doing a lot of now it's finally possible to do a lot of stuff on chain. So we wanted to launch the token as soon as possible. So over the past few years, we tried to stay lean from the amounts that we raised, and we also had to review our launch strategy after the token was out on the market, so that we respect our token holders. And how do I find my words? Maybe this is the time where we talked about earlier, but
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Take your time.
but so yeah, we have this difference in the fully diluted supply, because we minted the tokens with no keys. So there is no supply key, admin key that the key holds. It's only the different treasuries are managed by multisig. So we had to readjust the way that we were releasing the tokens into the marketplace. So that's why, relative to a higher circulating supply, 1.5 years after launch, we have this smaller circulating supply, which we want to maintain in a sustainable manner, as we discussed earlier with the different products.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, we appreciate that the growing interest in the HTS tokens over the past few months has uh, really supported a lot of the projects in our ecosystem to grow and gain visibility, because ultimately, right, it's Web3, it's crypto. A lot of the participants are still here for short-term speculation. So the early signs of a change in sentiment in 2024, I guess, is welcome ecosystem-wide.
Absolutely. And to be fair, this price chart to me shows me that you guys are legitimate, and that you are willing to fight for your project, because that can't have been easy. You see projects that have launched on, particularly on other platforms. You see projects launch, and the token price just keeps doing this. So it's very easy to keep going when the token price just keeps doing that. It's like the token price is pushing you along. The opposite is true when it's doing the opposite. And the people who have kept at it for not just for 6 months, but for years, kept at it despite the token price, really is a strong endorsement of your reason for doing this and your ethos behind it. So I applaud you for that. So yeah, we are seeing some great price action recently. So what do you think? Do you know what caused the price to change from where it was around December 2023, 205, to move 10x almost by March of, well, today really? What's from December to March? There's been an incredible spike. What do you think that's just the wider ecosystem in general? Do you think that's Bitcoin? Do you think it's Hedera? What do you think's caused that?
Well, obviously the sentiment in the overall economy shifted, and I guess there's a higher risk appetite for more risky assets, and the investment appetite, I
Can I
guess.
stop you there? Can I stop? I want to do you a favor. Don't call yourself a risky asset. Um,
Oh,
let me ask that question again. And unless you want to call yourself a risky
that's
asset,
fine.
probably
Fine.
wouldn't say there's a better appetite for risky assets, because that means that you're a risky asset. Okay, let me ask the
Yeah.
question again. Okay,
Thanks. I appreciate it, Max.
no problem. Tudor, I can see, you've been on, the coin has really rallied since December. It was at a price of around 205 pence, and it's now at 103. So it's almost a 10x. What do you think is the cause of that spike in such a short period of time? Is it an announcement that you've had? Do you think it's the wider community, the wider ecosystem? Is it Bitcoin? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Max. Internally, typically we have like policies not to talk about token. We obviously want to be respectful of regulations. But what I can say is that HeadStarter has launched initially in 2022, as I mentioned earlier, through our first IDO on Hedera at the price of 1 cent US per token. And because the relative apathy in the market over the past 2 years have made it so that projects that typically would be launching or would be leveraging our services had to postpone their launch until there was a better sentiment in the market. Made it so that we had this period of relative I would say apathy in the price action, because of the underlying utility of the HeadStarter token is to enable access to crowdfunding events on the HeadStarter dApp. So now that the market has seen a boost in interest, now that there's more retail activity on Hedera, and that we have gone in TVL on chain above 150 million now, I think that a lot of the projects that have been building over the past 2 years are coming out of the woodwork to launch their utility tokens. And there's renewed excitement towards getting early access into such projects that will be launching on HeadStart.
Okay, good answer. So I have to have a hard stop, because otherwise I'll just talk for hours. And because there's so many projects, this video would be 20 hours long if I was left to my own devices. So I've got two more questions, and we've got to do them pretty quick. The first one is, what do you think is the fair value for the HST token? You're currently at 0.03 pence, as I've said. Do you think that represents fair value, or do you think it's higher or lower?
Um, I would say that I'm a proponent of the Austrian School of Economics. So whatever the free market decides, it is what it is. But as our ecosystem grows inside of Hedera, I'm certain that there will be more participants that will be either launching projects or will be participating in the DeFi economy. So if we were to look at the mean of projects comparable to HeadStarter on other chains, I guess there's a lot of potential that of value actually that HeadStarter as a project offers to the wider community.
Very good political answer, answering it without really answering it. Well done. And I don't blame you, by the way. Good job. Final question. You're not allowed to pick HST token because it's yours. What are your favorite three HTS tokens on Hedera? And these are personal choices, just you personally, and they can be for any reason. Be for fun, for speculation, or for utility. What are your top three? And they can be in order or not in order.
Wow, you really put me on the spot there. Well, I've got to say one of my favorite projects in the space is Earthlings, so I'm really excited for them to have this transition from PH Steam towards Steam. I think the team there has a very strong conviction in what they're building, and they really managed to create a cult-like following in the space.
That's number one.
I in no particular order.
Okay.
But I'm sure there's a lot of projects. Believe me, Max, when I tell you that we've seen over the past 2 years hundreds of decks and hundreds of project tokens. I really like the movement that has been propelled behind the growth because growth really as a meme coin is kind of like the thing that is like the gateway drug to the ecosystem
Yes.
in large extent. And I would have to give a shout out as well to Sauce for leading leading the charge when it comes to DeFi visibility, adoption, and the most prevalent utility of crypto, which is trading. So kudos
Okay.
to.
Earthlings Land, Grelf, and Source of Swap, but not in that source, but not necessarily in that order. Judah, thank you so much for your time. It's been fantastic, and I'm rooting for you guys. I think you're a great guy. I think the project is fantastic, and I may even be buying a few HST tokens myself after having met you. So thank you very much for your time. Is there anything else you quickly want to say to the community?
Stay tuned for the project launches that are coming up on HeadStarter. We have a lot to unpack, and we're very excited for all the projects that we've been working on, communicating, building with over the past years to launch successfully and make a stand for the Hedera ecosystem in the Web3
Okay, and
spaces.
actually, I want to be fair with you because I can see the clock ticking. Where do people go if they want to know more? Of course, I'll put the links in the description below, guys, but I just want to hear it from you, Tudor. Where's the best place to learn more about HeadStarter? If people want to get involved, they've got a project idea, what do they do?
Certainly. So if you are launching a project, go to the headstarter.org dApp and apply for Spaceport. There you're going to see the different flavors of ways projects can interact with us. If you are a community member or somebody who wants to get early on the projects that are launching on HeadStarter, which are curated and selected to be leading projects in the space, go over to the dApp, and over there you will see all the upcoming projects. You can see how you can participate in the allow list campaigns or gain eligibility for participating in IDOs, INOs, and private sales. Stay tuned for some exciting announcements and a lot of new projects releases. If you want to reach out and communicate with the team, we're most accessible on Discord, but also you can find us on Telegram and across mediums.
Wow, well done. That was a lot of information done very well. You've done that before. Tudor, again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what you do next.
Pleasure was mine, Max. I commend your initiative of putting a spotlight on all Hedera ecosystem projects, and we're looking forward to catching up with you in the future.
Thanks. Bye.